Hi everyone, today I wanted to talk about most frequently asked questions on my channel regarding telekinesis. Sadly, I cannot answer all the questions through the DMs on Instagram, so I decided to talk about them here on my YouTube channel, so people will have all the answers immediately on my channel without having to ask me personally. So if you have any questions that I do not answer in this the video, which obviously there will probably be, let me know down below in the comments and I'll probably answer them in my next video of that kind. So yeah, go for it. Let's get started. So obviously the first question people ask me is how do they even start telekinesis? How do they start practicing it? In a practical way, of course, because from the videos I made, I realized that people do not look for this type of content around the mindset, and that is still something though I would recommend later on. But for the basics, what I recommend is starting with some kind of object, of course, and for that I would recommend tinfoil or paper or the technique so-called wheel, which is the rubber, and then you put a needle in it, and on top of it, folded piece of paper or tinfoil, right? So that is actually what I would recommend. It's mostly just some kind of light object you can work with. I would not personally recommend a small object. At the beginning, I was trying to, for example, use like little small earrings or stuff like that, but it just didn't work for some reason. This type of size objects work the best, especially folded tinfoil, paper, or anything of that kind. Of course, nothing too light. Tissue paper is not the best idea for telekinesis. It just doesn't have the structure in which it will be easy for you to move and like slide on the table and stuff. Like tissue paper is completely not in the question for beginners. In my opinion, it's mostly better probably for aerokinesis, but that's a different story. So yeah, and that's probably all for practicalities. Find like a very slidey surface and something pretty light and with certainly some kind of a good structure that's not folding and stuff like that. That's why I recommend tinfoil. Personally, it's something I work with the best, but I think like for every person it's different and they connect to a different type of stuff. And for me, telekinesis is not about moving certain objects, just whatever really works for you, whatever you feel connected to. Second thing is to work with one object like all the time, so you can like connect to it. The whole point of telekinesis is a connection to an object, not moving it, because without connecting to an object you will not move it. So that is for me, I think, like the best advice I can give you as a beginner. Focus more on connecting to the object rather than moving it. Okay, so that's why I also think it's important to find the object that you will be working with um, in every time you're gonna be practicing, so you can like really connect to it. Because of course people who are not into telekinesis don't know how to connect to the object in the first place, so it's better to have something you already are connecting to easily, right? So that's what I would also recommend. Next thing about starting telekinesis is, I think, mindset. But honestly, I feel like that is a very, very wide topic that I am talking about on my channel. So I would recommend you to watch my videos. Honestly, all of my videos apply to telekinesis. If the topic has telekinesis in title or not, it still applies to it. You can still use it if you really understand the subject that I'm talking about. But I would say that a mindset for a beginner is to not focus on the result, but rather on the practice of telekinesis itself, which is again not the goal of moving something, but connecting to something. Not trying to control something, but rather to like play with something. You know what I mean? Like, if you have a friend, you will not force them to do something for you just because you want it, right? It's more like you play with them and it comes naturally to do something together, right? So I guess that's all I have for beginners. That's the best way to start. It's the best techniques that most popular that are out there. But personally, I think the most important advice I can also give you is be individual, you know? Like, I think telekinesis is a very personal, individual practice. So what applies to other people might not work for you. So you should like adapt it to your own beliefs, adapt it to your own point of view, the things that work for you, and just anything that you feel comfortable with. If you prefer to listen to a certain type of music while at it, go for it. If you prefer quiet environment, go for it. If you prefer to work with different type of objects, go for it. Different types of substances or whatever really there is, because I don't think telekinesis, there is a point in calling the psychokinesis by the type of the objects you're using. Because for those who don't know, there are different types of telekinesis, where for example there's hydrokinesis where you move water, pyrokinesis where you control fire, control in quotes, right? But I don't think there's a point for that, because at the source of it, every one of those have the same mindset underneath it, the same type of mechanism of it, which I once again discuss and will be discussing in my next videos on my channel in overall. So as I was saying, you can work with whatever you really want to work with. You don't have to start with exactly telekinesis in the quotes, right? You can basically do it on anything you want and however you want. I think like the basis of it is basically spiritual and more like based on mindset, on feelings, on intuition, not necessarily just as a practice, because I don't see telekinesis per se as a practice, like something physical that you do. For me, it's more something that has to do with mindset and how you go about it, and your perspective and viewpoint on the world and how things work. And for me, it's mostly a tool to understand myself and the world and the matter around me in better ways, and how it can affect me and how I can affect it. What I would also recommend for beginners is basically to focus on connection not only to the object but on everything, because, well, that is basically a topic for another video, because it's too wide to talk about it in such short video. But basically you cannot control only one separated thing, because if you move a piece of foil or something, right, you need yourself to move it, you need the film foil to move it, right? But it will not move without, for example, air around it or the surface underneath it. So basically you have to connect to everything around yourself and to yourself as well. Next thing that is important for beginner is to know is, which will save you a lot of time by the way, to at some point stop using your muscles, stop tensing them, because I personally, at least from my experience, I know that at the beginning I was tensing my muscles a lot and I was moving a lot, like trying to put that energy that I should be putting into moving the object into myself, and I was tensing and I was moving, and it honestly doesn't do any difference whatsoever. Actually, it does the opposite. So try to not put the energy into yourself, but actually into actual movement you're trying to make, to put it besides yourself, you know. Like it might take you some time to get what I'm talking about, but like you are not moving the object, like you're not physically moving the object, it doesn't have anything to do with it. That's why it doesn't matter if you tense your muscles, if you will move, if you will do whatever, or you're only wasting that energy that should be put into moving the object into yourself and into moving and tensing yourself, which sometimes honestly affects in being drained out or having a headaches, and that's basically all it can do for you rather than doing telekinesis. So try to avoid that. And in my opinion, it's more important to focus on the environment working for you rather than you putting your own energy into moving that object. So that was something important for me to realize, that I do not have to use my own energy, in quotes, or my own awareness, kind of, but like I have to like be a teammate in my environment. Like I only am a part in all of this event that is happening in front of me. Like I can connect to the whole environment, and this environment for me can do this. I'm just controlling what is happening, in quotes, controlling, but I'm being like a teammate with the whole environment around me, trying to, moving this object. So I think that is something important to realize, that you are not the one in control. You're not a guru for the object. You're not a, some kind of manipulator, some kind of super ability human. You're just a teammate in all of this event that is happening, which is telekinesis, which is psychokinesis, where you get so in tune, you get so connected to the environment, and you actually get detached from what you want, and from who you are, that you can actually move through this environment, because you stop being yourself and being attached to only yourself, and you start to kind of be magnetized to the environment around you, and at the same time you can move through it. So it's not about controlling something, it's about moving through it, as those things, and you're only this starting point. You're only passing on this will to do something about it later on, but the most important part is connection to it in the first place. And to move through it, you have to first connect to it, of course. So you're not the one actually moving it, you are just becoming it through the connection and moving through it by your will, by what you want to do with it. But at the same time, you are it, so you're not actually controlling it, you are actually just moving as this object. So yeah. Next thing that I think is important when it comes to mindset is understanding that the way to go about telekinesis is exploration, it's curiosity. It's not expecting the results or not expecting them at all, like being not telekinesis doesn't exist, or being like, yeah, I will get that result, like I will do it, like it's not about the results. Telekinesis is not about the results. Anything is not about the results. If you're trying to succeed at something, do something, don't think in terms of doing and attaining, getting a certain result out of it, because that's not gonna work. The whole point of telekinesis is to enjoy the process of it. Telekinesis itself is not about the result, it's not about the moving itself. That's why I'm saying that what is the most important is actually the connection to the object. So to do telekinesis, you cannot go into it desperate for it to give you a certain result, because it's not gonna simply work. You have to be in the mindset where you enjoy just the process itself of connecting with something else than yourself, and personalizing with it, and being open to it enough for this type of result to even occur. So what I would say is, I think that's why most people say that to do telekinesis you have to be patient and you have to like keep practicing, but it's not about really patience, but more like enjoying the flow of it rather than expecting results. So I would say don't expect results, and just go about it as a practice of connecting to something and empathizing with something and creating a certain connection with this thing. And for some people it might seem like weird or stupid, like, what, am I just supposed to be friends with a piece of paper or a piece of object, something? Like, yeah, basically. Not in that sense that you might think, but I personally, from observation, noticed that the only difference between objects and us is that we are attached to ourselves to our consciousness or awareness, like is like set in place, you know what I mean? Like we are attached to ourselves, to being ourselves, to our body, you know. And on the other hand, objects have like a fluid consciousness, so you can like easily adapt to it or like connect to it. Because if you know the drill of spirituality, you know that the all is one is all, meaning everything is consciousness and we are all connected, we can all connect to other things, and basically everything is communicating with each other consciously or unconsciously. But either way, the drill of it is that I think that objects have a fluid consciousness to which we can connect and move through, in a sense. That's what I get, at least with telekinesis so far. And I think this is a nice mindset to adapt, that even though objects seem, you know, like something without like a certain human traits, or like, you know, this type of thing, you know what I mean? Like I cannot explain it, but like at the end of the day, if you are really into like awareness and stuff, you can really like meditate on that and realize that actually objects do have a presence and they do have like an energy. So if you focus on a presence of something, you can actually feel it. And like one person like once told me that all of the objects have kind of this consciousness of being in your life. And for example, when you know you're in the blanket, like this blanket is there exactly for that reason, to like hug you, kind of, you know. And like that all the things around you are there to be with you, you know, to like they are conscious of their purpose in your life or something like that. But like I don't know, just very nice analogy, and it helps me like very connect to those objects, and like realize that everything has kind of this presence, and everything is like energy, and everything is like you are able to like empathize with everything. I have especially a high empathy for like plants and like trees and stuff like that. So I feel like telekinesis is also a lot about practicing empathy and compassion towards things. And that's why I feel like it's a lot about this openness and childlike curiosity. I feel like telekinesis has so many things to teach us, and I feel like if you really look at it from a different perspective, it can like really, it's a beautiful practice, okay, in a way, like in a certain aspect, if you start looking at it in a way that it should be looked at. Like it's super beautiful practice if you don't look at it from the point of view of controlling and manipulating something, but rather in a way of being cooperating with something and like creating a connection with something through which you can like exchange and observe and, you know, like connect, and feel through and with. And I feel like it's such a beautiful practice, and I feel like it can really also help with many things like intuition or connection even to yourself or the things around you, or being more present, or help with channeling even, you know, like it helps you like connect to the energy and read through it. And it helps you like be like energy sensitive and aware of the things around you. I feel like it's such a great exercise to be present in the moment, because I feel like telekinesis is such a present practice where you can actually, the whole point of it is to get into the flow of connection with something. And I'm just so passionate about how much knowledge and understanding there is to be observed through this practice. that is just amazing, because I feel like most of the people are drawn to this practice only because of like ego boosting reasons. Like they see something in a movie and they want to be like, oh, that would be so cool to control something, to be that powerful person that can do something that others cannot, to be this original person, and like I feel like this is the problem with a lot of things we do in our lives and that we often don't stick to, because we don't see the practice itself, but we see a certain aspect of it or the idea behind it that we like. But the moment we start doing it, we realize, hey, this aspect is actually not there to be seen. It's not that idea I have about it. It's actually something different, because we don't see the real value of it. We only like the idea of it, but the moment we get into it, we realize, hey, like there are other things in it that are not this thing I was expecting or I wanted to feel while doing it, or results I wanted. Um, yeah, but I feel like, for example, if you are, like an artist, if you want to be an artist, you cannot enjoy, only results and art. You actually, the whole point of being an artist and liking it is, for example, actual being in flow and drawing and painting in the first place, not the end result of it. Like, or the idea of only being an artist is starting from a completely wrong point. It's a completely different end of the story that you're starting from. If you don't enjoy the flow of something, the pure doing of something, it's not something for you. It's not something that you're gonna stick to at the end. So I feel like telekinesis is one of those things. Like, you really have to like understand the practice and actually get in tune into it, not fall in love with results and the ideas of it you have, or how it will make you feel, the results of it, or what kind of person you see yourself as when gaining telekinesis. Like, I feel like this is a very often a trap. Like, we do telekinesis only to gain something, or like because we have like this ego boost. But I honestly think that, as a person who was low-key starting also from this point, low-key, I guess like everyone can switch their perspective to actually seeing it as something that it actually is, which is a practice and flow, and not only just moving something, as in the movies, and making a big deal out of it and being a superhuman, because that's completely not the point of telekinesis for me. It's not that spectacular if you really start doing it. It's not supposed to be spectacular. If you expect it to be something spectacular and supernatural, how are you gonna attend it in the first place? For your mind, it will be just too much to take in and too much to, accept based on your beliefs. It's supposed to be a calm, meditative practice. Meditation, that is also something to talk about. If you're a beginner, you probably heard a lot about meditating before telekinesis. I feel that meditation is mostly recommended exactly for that reason, to get into the flow, to get into the present moment of it. But honestly, if you're someone who is already calm, who is already into the flow of it, you don't need it. Personally, I treat telekinesis as a meditation itself, so I don't personally do it. But if you're someone who needs to like calm down and become more present, or but someone who wants to set an intention before doing it, I feel like it will be very helpful, so you can also do that. I feel like that's it for the beginners. It's probably more than it is necessary for beginners. I didn't realize this video is already 20 minutes long, but I hope it was helpful. Let's go to the next question, which is often asked, which is, how did I learn telekinesis? And that is something, I would say, for a different video, but in short, I basically started from different pathways. I was starting from spirituality. I was learning also different abilities, so called, and only later on I started learning that. And somehow from all these paths, I kind of started learning it, and I didn't see results at first, and honestly I made quite an effort, and I think like after switching my practice a couple of times and like coming to it back and back again, with new mindset and like fresh motivation to do it, and like less of an like desperation and excitement, rather than just like, instead of excitement and desperation, I was more in like, I want to do it, I want to sit to that again and keep trying, once again, because this is still very cool and I want to explore it. And so yeah, I was like going back and forth, a month, 3 months breaks, and then again. And I feel like it helped me to be always, when starting in this new fresh mindset, and like in more and more chill way each time, and less desperate way each time. And I also think like what motivated me the most to do it is actually this reality change. I feel like it was something very crucial for me, and kind of a hope that there is more than there is to see, and to actually not sink into this materialistic, so-called point of view on the world, and kind of depressive vibes, like, oh, that's all the world is. I wanted to have like this hope that there is more in this world, and I feel like this is one of the things that made me stick to spirituality, to actually see that, hey, there are things that we cannot explain, but that are so interesting that, damn, I just want to live, so yeah, I think like this is a topic for a different video for me to in detail explain my story with telekinesis. But that's in short how I kind of learned it. But yeah, next most frequently asked question is people asking me that about them practicing and still not seeing results, or like how they can do it faster or better. And for me, I think the best advice would be to keep experimenting, keep changing, like, obviously if something is not working for you, you should change it, you should, keep experimenting. And I honestly shouldn't be like someone who tell you what you should do. You should like be more intuitive and feel in on your own what is the best practice and way for you to go about it. If a certain object isn't working for you, switch it for something else. If a certain technique doesn't work out on you, like, you should also switch it to something else. Maybe it's environment, maybe it's your point of view on it. Maybe you have a specific goal and aim in your mind, or result you want to see. You should also switch it. But it's mostly about changing up things and keep practicing, and mostly about refreshing your mindset about it. Honestly, in my case, as I said, I think it was crucial for me to take breaks through it. And I know for some reason it will be also crucial for the end of their practice, because most people don't stick to it. But I feel like, as I'm saying, the whole point with telekinesis is to be actually calm about it and not desperate about it. So I think that's all I can say in this video. I hope it was helpful for some of you. If you have more questions, make sure to ask me in the comments down below, and I will do video answering them. If you see in the comments question you like and you want me to answer, make sure to like it so I can see that people are interested in that question for me to answer, because I want to answer to the most frequently asked questions mostly. If you want me to do a video about certain topic, be it something related to telekinesis that I could talk about more in depth, or something related to spirituality, or anything related to self-development that I can help you through with my experience or my spiritual, viewpoint on it. I don't know how to say it, but like, anything you want me to make a video about that is in topic of my channel, self-development, spirituality, metaphysical stuff. Uh, I would be happy to hear what you want me to record. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Join my Discord if you're interested in joining my community of people with spiritual interests, I guess. Check out my Instagram. You can DM me there if you have some kind of questions or really anything. Though I might not answer at first. I am bad at responding. I'm saying, just in case. I guess that's it. Check out my other channel with card readings if you're interested. I understand not everyone might be. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more content like that on my channel. Like the video if you liked it. And yeah, thanks and have a nice day. See ya.